We are something else.
All right. Welcome to We Are Something Else, episode 224. Hennessey Straight. It is a Black business series. We do have a guest, Kenn Starr, in the house tonight, and it is a Takeover Thursday. Man, everybody off mute. It's your boy Kaleo, the host of We Are Something Else. There's Takeover, there's CB, there's E-Rich, and there is our guest of honor tonight, Mr. Kenn Starr for the Black Business Series. All right, let's get this thing going. Takeover, how have you been?
I'm good, bro. Happy to be here with the fellas tonight and happy to deep dive, into our guest, Kenn, very talented man. So I'm ready. Let's rock.
CB?
Also very excited for the show. It's been a fun week so far. Outside of work, we're not gonna act like work is fun. But yeah, man, almost to the weekend, and we got Kenn on the show, so let's rock.
Oh, E, what's good, bro?
Work has definitely been working. So this is a good little segue. Excited for the show. Anytime we get anytime we on here, we have a good time. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
All right. Kenn, my guy, look, first of all, I've known Kenn since fourth grade. Back to Kayak
Academy. Shout out.
Academy, a shout out. Allentown Road. And me and Kenn got skin in the game. Bro, what's good with you, man? Long time no see.
Very long time no see, man. It's good to be seen. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's good to be outside, being social again, man. I'm coming out my cave for a little bit.
Look, I appreciate it. I'm glad you're going on this press run, and we got the opportunity to have you on the show, man. It's been a minute, but right. Everything good with you? We good? Everything
is good, man. Blessed and highly favored, as they say.
That's how it's got to be. Who we got? Let me see. We got CBR. We got Kendall B in the house. We got D Casillas, 3 the hard way. From NJ to AK. Okay, I see you. Anisha is here. Slim Cat 78. Risa, good to see you. And probably a couple folks that's watching anonymously. That's fine though. But look, my week has been good. I've been anxiously waiting for this interview because it's been a minute. And then we haven't had the Black Business Series back until actually started back last week with shout out to Alicia B, the Bounce 105 out in Detroit with the morning show. Another DMV native, Kenn. She got the morning show out in Detroit. So now it's funny that we're going from the radio to now we're going to the studio, and we're going to see if we can answer some questions about getting music on the radio and all that good stuff. Dave J, welcome in. So all that said, look, we ain't gonna delay no more. Let's go to our first. Let's wrap. Where these graphics at? Oh, right there. Here we go. Boom. Straight to it. So CeeLo Green on Sunday announced via Instagram that after 30 years, the Goody Mob is saying goodbye. He said, let's just call it natural causes. All right. That's one of those probably politically correct answers. No, it's nobody's fault. It just is what it is. He also said that the plans were to record a farewell album and go on tour and to hope that it reaches a city near you if you want to see it. And it looks like their last album was in 2020. So they had been semi-active, and I think they were touring as well, But look, 30 years in the game, and I know CeeLo's doing a lot of other stuff. I know there's been some health issues going on with some of the folks. And the death of Rico Wade, let's be honest, that probably took some life out of the Dungeon family and a lot of the music in the South. So, look, all I got to say is, look, Goody Mob has had an amazing career. There's a lot of classics in there. Soul Food is probably, I can rock that joint all day. That joint just feels good all day. And the stuff they did with Outkast. So hopefully maybe this is just, one of those things where you're just getting a pulse to see how many people want to still hear from Goody Mob, right? Because they still perform. They said they're getting ready to do a farewell album and they're going to do a tour. So I'm right now, I'm going to go with it as a pulse read. I just want to know, we just want to put feelers out there. Who's still feeling this? Because, I mean, Wu-Tang is doing the same thing. Farewell tour. Come on, Wu-Tang. How can you can't go say goodbye as Wu-Tang? Right? So it's a pulse read. But, we'll see. Let's go with you, Ken, straight to the point. What's your thoughts on Goody Mob saying goodbye?
I'd be lying if I wasn't curious as the motive behind it being announced that the group was breaking up as opposed to just announcing the final tour. And if it was only coming from CeeLo and not any of the other members, I'm not sure if any of the other members spoke on it yet, but I would hope it wasn't just to gauge interest and to, kind of create a dialogue about the final tour. But I mean, groups are complicated, man, and a 30-year run is no small feat. I think their legacy speaks for itself, and I think ultimately it's whatever brings attention to that legacy. I respect it, man. They deserve to have their graceful bow out for sure.
Absolutely. Takeover.
I mean, like you said, Kaleo, Soul Food, classic album, but all great things do and must come to an end. So, hey, I'm not mad at the decision. Like everyone said thus far, 30 years in the game. They've come a long way from where they started out. I mean, and it's 2025. Trying to split income, so many different ways is a stretch in these inflated times, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would like to believe that, after 30 years, just so many things like you touched on, life is life and priorities, focus, they changed amongst everyone. And so, and not to mention, I can imagine that, there could be some creative differences going on, especially because, they're not the same men that they were, that they are today, that they were back then. And so I remember, when, CeeLo, when he went solo, he wasn't happy with the direction of the project at that current time. Mm-hmm. And so 30-year journey, their milestones, their influence on, hip hop fans, their legacy, and just, the group has definitely stamped and, their group efforts and their individual contributions. So after 3 decades, why not end things on a high note and a celebratory note?
Yeah, absolutely. CB.
I mean, you guys have laid it out pretty well, but you talk about a group that formed in 1991. 30 years since the debut album and everything. Like, you talk about one of the acts that really was helping to put Atlanta on the map, from that standpoint with Outkast back during those days. So, yeah, I think the legacy speaks for itself. And yeah, I think that this could be somewhat of a temperature check, but still at the end of the day, these types of groups that do have a legacy, they deserve to get their farewell tour and get the send off and, get the flowers and everything. So, yeah. Hopefully it's not one of those, we're doing this again in like 5-10 years. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to say it's over, like, be about it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I feel you. E.
I would hate to have to start the pod this way, but guess I'm gonna have to be that one. I ain't heard shit from Goody Mob since One Monkey Don't Stop the Show, which was like 2004. So I didn't even know. It's almost like saying the Fat Boys were still the Fat Boys, even though they weren't bringing out any music. You know what I'm saying? But they still broke up. You know what I'm saying? So in the sense that they're breaking up, we haven't really heard them in that cohesive part of it since it is what it is. But at the same time, listen, as a group, we always want like folks to like prosper and everything. But also, I believe, and this is going to, you know, this might kind of allude to one of my questions later on, but rap is like really the only genre that like gets rid of they people. You know what I'm saying? So in that sense, what I said was true was, and it's not because the sound was different. It was just that they didn't translate that. But you can see, because if there was already some sort of a riff within the crew, you know what I mean? Like it translates into music as well. Like you can hear the different ways that the album started progressively going different and almost seeming like they were all solo, like literally solo kind of songs, right? On a track that everybody was on. And it was just saying like, oh, here's Goody Mob, but you'd have 2 songs by CeeLo by himself and 2 songs by somebody else. You're like, all right, well, you know, just cut your solo deal and just call it what it is. But you know, hey, shout out to them because, like you said, Soul Food is still the one. Many more, and I think at the end of the day, you got to just, you know, count your blessings and just be on the set. Like, listen, they're stamped in hip hop that they got a song that everybody and their mama know, and that still knows later on. You know, like years from now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, this is something we will pay attention to. But hopefully, I mean, if it's farewell, I mean, everybody getting their asses in the studio together and trying to make a cohesive project and not like piecemealing it all over the place, right? Like I said, let's get some of that energy. Let's get some of that let's get cohesive, whatever. All right. Speaking of still on hip hop, 1 year later. 1 year later. So, I mean, I think this is something that whether you're in hip hop or not, everyone paid attention to last year. And up until, I guess, maybe the Super Bowl is kind of where it may have just kind of died out. One massive hit and a Super Bowl removed. What is your take on the beef? Like, what's your take on the beef? And what was your favorite record from the beef? I'm gonna have to do a couple rounds of this. What was your take on the beef? And what was your favorite record that came out of the beef? Let's go ahead. Let's start with you, Ken.
I mean, I think I'm from that era, so I love to see a good battle play out. And it's rare we get 2 artists of that caliber to really like, you know, push the button and actually go in. You know, people on that level usually send a whole bunch of subliminals, so it was dope to see it actually happen after so many years of the build up. But I think it's done what it needs to do, and I'm looking forward to both guys kind of just getting on with their career and just kind of putting it behind them, man. I don't, because I think that the only comparable one on this level was Jay and Nas, like back in the day, and I don't feel like we were still talking about it a year later. I could be wrong, but just burnt out, man. Burnt out.
What was any favorite records that came out of that?
Yeah, and I'm standing on my opinion. Comments do what y'all do, but Family Matters sonically was my favorite record out of the beef, hands down.
Okay.
Yeah, time flies. It's crazy to say it's a year later, but I have a couple of points, right? So honestly, you know, low key, I kind of wish J. Cole would have stuck around a little bit and participated in more of the back and forth for this, you know, right? I feel like it would have been interesting and just fun to see 2 against 1, right? Sorry, not sorry. It is what it is. Now, and I'm also interested in what Kendrick has said about J. Cole. You know what I'm saying? Yet, you know, Cole, he bowed out gracefully. I understand. Second, it wasn't, after a while, it just wasn't fun for me anymore, especially when kids were put into the situation. So I was glad to see that it, you know, finally fizzled out, right? But 1 year later, you know, I would have hoped that a year later we would have got a joint surprise album with Drake and Kendrick. You know, that would have all caught us off guard. It would have been a distraction from stuff going on now. And so favorite record, like my K brother, I'm gonna go with Family Matters as well.
Okay. CB.
This was a lot of fun. The group chat, anytime a new song dropped, even if it was 30 minutes later, you know what I mean? Like that was cool. We really had not had anything like that in a long time when it came to music and all that. And, Trina, yeah, we would all be surprised because these dudes, like, for real, don't really care for each other. So, like, like I don't know if we're ever gonna get that. What is it? Yeah, you're gonna have to go back to like 2012 to find some tracks with them on there. You know what I mean? But you see the buildup, like the level of like just pop culture that this reached, the fact that this infiltrated the Super Bowl, you know what I mean? Like my man called him a pedo like in front of millions of people, like multiple times, and each time people were just chanting and stuff. Like this was crazy to see, and it was fun at its peak. And you know, I do think that we got a lot of fun music. So that it's tough because it's probably not my favorite song in terms of bars or anything like that, but I played Not Like Us more than any other joint out of the entire beef. So you know, Kendrick he found one with that. That's all.
Did CB say which song? Oh, he said Not Like Us. My bad.
Ken, disclaimer: E is in Cali.
Listen, you know, I mean, it was good for the culture. I'll leave it at that. I said all I needed to say while it was taking place, and you know, everybody is against the West Coast, and you know, so we here now, and yeah. Trina, I don't know what you was thinking. Talking about you wanted them to be on the track together. Like it's like it's okay not to like people. You know what I'm saying? Like they honestly don't like people. Like this is the best version of if I truly don't like somebody, I don't want to do anything related music wise or anything. You know what I'm saying? You got cousins that you don't like. You don't want to go to the family barbecue, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you go at a different time. You get there early enough because you know they get there at a certain time and just be done. So.
Don't be putting my business out there, E.
Listen, that's me. That's all. Listen, that's everybody on here. If anybody on here say they really like all day entire family, they lying for real. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, my favorite for sure was Euphoria. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Just, I just don't want people to be as. And we're gonna come up with a new word instead of using the word delusional. But we have to get out of this mall type delusion that Drake was just that much like. Anyway, we won't get into that. That's why I didn't want to talk about this shit because.
I mean, see you later. Just to recap, we ain't gonna talk about this no more. And like Ken said, outside of Jay and Nas, like this is probably the beef that they're gonna talk about when they talk about beefs. The next beef that comes up is gonna be they're gonna relate it to Kendrick and Drake. And then they may go back to Jay and Nas. You're not going to get the LLs and cannabis. That's just not what it is. It's just because the two biggest superstars at the time, it's like an NBA dunk contest. You don't get the two biggest superstars at the time going at it anymore. And right now, these were technically the two out of the three deciding they were going to go to war. All right. I'll answer my own questions. I think to me, and since I'm dealing with AI right now, shout out to Sweets in the Soul Show. I think the most creative record was the Tailor-Made Freestyle, right? Whether you like it or not, because he took AI and did Pac's voice and he did Snoop's voice. The gloves were off, right? And he was antagonizing Kendrick to pick up the mic and the pen and the record, right? And I see you shaking. It was the most creative record. He did what he had.
It's the most disrespectful thing, but then when somebody
right? It's a beef.
But that's what I'm saying. So then why then it's like why are people up in arms when now he's a
well we didn't know
they hit him with the A minor. Now all of a sudden he don't went too far.
We didn't know it was gonna turn into that. I'm talking about at the time the most creative record was Tailor-Made Freestyle, right? I think the best record was Family Matters, and not like us, just picked up and became the biggest record. So look, Kendrick got his flowers. It was the biggest record because look, they dancing at the Super Bowl, but the best record was Family Matters, but the most creative was Tailor Made Freestyle. No one had ever done that before. Gloves were off, but he did. And then this thing about this, we got Ether and Takeover in the same night within 5 minutes of each other. Back in the day, you had to wait to mixtapes. You had to wait to Angie Martinez or Flex or whoever in New York to drop the latest. We got Family Matters, and then Kendrick 5 minutes later dropped Meet the Grams. That was one of the best nights of hip hop ever.
Diabolical. Absolutely. It was
one of the best nights. We had never seen nothing like that. The same night you got Takeover and Ether. So it's a memorable beef. They don't like each other. It's never going to go away. Somebody's gonna say something about somebody along the way. But when you start getting kids involved, that's why Cole didn't want no part of this shit. Like, he actually has a mutual interest in both of them, and you start bringing kids in, he's not gonna talk about nobody's kids. Please. All right, let's go ahead and pay some bills because that's what we got to do here. Let me find the right commercial. I wish I had my cup, but we got this.
Do you need a gift for yourself or for somebody special in your life? Look no further. Welcome to D-Cup Customs, where my lovely wife Doreen is a mad scientist and she can make stuff just like that, or this crazy cup right here, or anything that can pop into your imagination. And see these people in this little shot right here? Everybody owns something from D-Cup Customs. These aren't hired actors. We have rhythmics at home. And this is the crew who we love to sponsor. So before she raises her prices, like I'm always telling her to do, go ahead, order something, and use that code WRSC15 for a 15% discount.
The folks at D-Cup Customs, Real Estate Poppy, Doreen, WRSC15. Go to dcupcustoms.com, save 15% on your purchase. And with that said, it is a takeover. He was in the chat. There we go.
Be Easy Shoe and Fashion Report.
It is a Takeover Thursday. It's time for In the Hot Seats. All right, Takeover, what we got this week?
All right, so welcome everybody in the chat. If you're new to the podcast, this is In the Hot Seat, where I ask the fellas of We Are Something Else a burning question, pause, in which they have no idea what's coming their way. And so we're just going to vibe out and see what their response is. And so we have our distinguished guest, Mr. Kenn here. And so I'm going to put him in the mix as well and ask him. So let's get right into it, right? So I am curious to know if let's say you're out with friends and, you're going and you're doing karaoke, right? What is the one hip hop song that you would perform and why? So Kenn, you're up first in the hot seat.
Karaoke. If I'm being completely honest, and if they had it, I'm doing Snoop Dogg Ain't No Fun.
Wow, nice.
Respectfully. Are we here to have fun or not?
Right.
Let's get to it.
Okay.
Let me tell you, that's a great choice. We did that at my best friend. Shout out to Nisha. She's in the chat at her birthday celebration in August, and it was the littest thing ever. So big up to that. Okay, so I'm gonna hop over to my other K brother Kaleo. What do you have for us?
I think I might do Nas If I Ruled the World.
Okay, no J. Cole.
I mean, I'm just thinking about the first record that I really, really dove into. Like, it was out If I Ruled the World. Like, it was other good stuff, but that one right there sticks out. It just ruled the radio right here in the DMV for a while.
Right. Okay. Respect. E. Rich, what you got? West Coast.
TQ West Side.
So, the fact that Kenn said, we here to have fun and we'll be honest. I'm crashing out to Hit 'Em Up.
Okay, nice. I can see that. I can see that in you. Vibe it out.
Crashing out to hit him
Right.
up. That's what you get. Should have never gave me a mic.
Shoot. Because the thing is for the Filipinos, we don't got to go anywhere but the house for the karaoke.
True that.
But for being honest, they typically are not throwing on the hip hop. The Titas, they're trying to throw on Mariah and hit all the high notes. But it'd have to be something Wayne.
Okay.
Probably pull anything off of the Carter 3, honestly. Like, because I know I'd be able to like remember those lyrics, so we'd be good.
Right. Well, CB, I know you would, as a musician yourself, as an artist, you would rock that. So,
What about you?
So for me, you know me, 757 all day. I'm going to do anything Pharrell or any RD. Why? Because he's the GOAT. Period. So
Okay. All right. I'm not mad at that. All right, so let's get down to business. And it's time. Let's put my man right there. Let's bring back the Black Business Series 2 weeks in a row. And we got our man Kenn Starr here. Kenn, man. So what's gonna happen is we're just gonna go around, fire off these questions. I'm gonna lead off because I got one that's just right here, and I've been wanting to ask it for at least the past 5-6 years.
Okay.
Where have you been, man? Where's the new music? Like, Star Status 2006.
Oh, don't start you giving dates and years. All right, we doing this. Let's go.
One,
go ahead.
2015. Bro. And now Hennessey straight. So what's the deal, bro? Where you been? What's up with the music?
Listen, man, I don't even know how it happened, how I ended up in this like D'Angelo bag. Like I can be a bit of an overthinker. I can be overly critical of the product I'm trying to make. And that in turn with other like regular life stuff, and then whatever delays may come with, putting out music, it just kind of compounds it. And next thing I look up and it's been years. And honestly, it's probably one of the biggest regrets in my career is that I didn't have more output, especially when I don't want to say in my prime, but when I was pursuing it the heaviest. I look at some of my peers and how they were able to really maximize on the moment and their potential. And it's something that'll always kind of be a question mark for me, like what could have been had I had more consistent output. But all I can do is try to fix it moving forward. And your boy is clipped up. I'll say that.
Jesus, Cardo. He lost that battle to me in 12th grade of English class.
Hey, Ricardo, if ain't no footage, it didn't happen.
Right. Who take over?
So growing up in Suffolk, shout out again, 757.
757, what up?
Yes, my second home. Did you ever have the chance to work with Pharrell, Clips, Family? And if not, then, maybe that's something you aspire to do in the future?
Hell no. I never got anywhere near that level of nah, absolutely not. If anything, if we talking 757 and like dream collaborations, anybody that's familiar with Knots, an amazingly phenomenal producer from Norfolk. If you don't know him, you've heard his music. If anybody out of the 757 that I could collaborate with, it would be Knots. Incredible producer.
Nice.
CB.
Ken, so we talked about the time away, but talk about your process that went into each of the projects. Do you approach them all the same, or is it one of those things that each project that you put out is kind of like, its own individual experience?
So a part of the overthinking process for me is the fact that it's cliche, but it's been a lifelong dream. Like, I've been writing rap since I was 10 years old. In my bedroom growing up, it was like mad posters on the wall and advertisements from like The Source and Double XL. Like, so I always had this vision of what I wanted my career to be. So like with the first album, you hear people say, you've been working your entire life on that album because it's your whole life up to that point. So that first project was just a dream come true, to actually have my music come out in a professional capacity. Like, you could go to a record store and buy the CD. Like, that was, I'm glad I was able to have that opportunity before the industry kind of switched and, things are different now. But so that was probably the easiest one for me, because I'm like, yo, I'm here. Like, I got a record deal, I'm putting the album out. Like, the second album, Square One, things got a little tricky with that. There were a lot of creative setbacks with that one. Thinking about the sophomore jinx, the first album was really well received. And because it had been so much time in between projects, I really wanted to put my best foot forward. And the irony of it is, I worked so hard to make it something special that I think something got lost in translation, and the feedback from that project wasn't anywhere near what I hoped or anticipated. And it was really humbling. Like, it set me back. If we being honest, like, I really had to question like what I wanted to do moving forward with music. Not that I was expecting like crazy accolades or nothing like that, but it was even just a significant drop off from the response from my first album, So now I'm in a space, I'm older. I'm not chasing a dream so much. Like, I've already done that. Like, I've lived my dream. I can say that. Now it's just about getting my art out. And the worst has already happened. Like, I wore my heart on my sleeve. I put something out, and the people were like, decent, and I survived. So now I just want to fix the issue I talked about before with not having a lot of output. Yo, I want to die empty. I want to get all these ideas out. I want to get all this music out, and let the chips fall where they may as far as the reception. Like, yeah.
I feel that.
I guess you kind of answered the question I was getting ready to ask, but more so it's like you talking to other artists, right? Because recently, me and my bro was at Dreamville, and there was something that he heard that I've been trying to tell him, and it's always, you got to hear it from somewhere else, right? When it's too close to you, sometimes you kind of get in that bag.
Real quick. He's talking about a conversation between Cool Deep and Mez, Cole's engineers.
Yeah.
Right.
So in that sense, though, how did you stop yourself from like chasing a hit and just making the music that you just wanted to make?
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
Yeah.
All right, it's okay. We'll pivot. But look, so that conversation with Cool Deep and Mez, that was like at the public, like at the access panel, right? There we go, right there.
My apologies, technical difficulties. We're back.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
What I missed. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nah. So I said, I don't know if you heard, but like my bro he heard some stuff in regards to, he does music and the whole nine, and trying to like just not overthink. Like you said, sometimes you can be an overthinker as an artist. When did like that situation of me, what I'm asking is like, how would you tell other artists in that sense that you don't have to chase a hit, just put out the music that you're working on, right? Because it's all a process. Like, your fan base is going to feed off of whatever you put out, in the sense of it's organic. It's not you trying to you know, kind of debunk like a situation where I don't want to sound like anybody else, but at the same time, I'm fishing for a hit compared to just the actual this. It's almost like, you know what I'm saying, just the content that they get from the person that they said, you know what, you're dope. I like the type of music that you come out with. So how do you kind of gauge that in that sense of, as an artist, now that you've kind of been in the game as long as you have been, maybe somebody who's coming up that's not understanding that they don't need to chase that hit?
Bro, you said it best. Like, just keep your head down and do the work. You know, and what's for you is going to come to you. And you also got to be realistic about your trajectory. You know, you got to figure out what kind of artist you want to be. If you want to chase hits and go that route, that's cool. I don't have a lot of advice in that regard. You know, I am very decidedly from the era of the underground, like hip hop, like, you know, so there's a certain trajectory I was after, and that doesn't really come with a lot of, you know, bells and whistles as far as, fame and hits and all that. But yeah, keep your head down and do the work, and it'll work out 100%.
But so we got Hennessey straight.
Yeah.
What's the inspiration behind that? Why now? And is their album coming shortly after that?
Yeah, man. The first single, Hennessey Straight, off my forthcoming album, it's called Cold. It's entirely produced by Kev Brown, a very, very dope producer, Landover, Maryland, PG County represent. I mean, if you're familiar with me, then you're familiar with Kev Brown. Kev Brown is responsible for some of my best music, honestly. And, we've been working together for a really long time, and this is our first time doing an entire body of work. So I'm really excited about that. He's hands down one of my favorite producers. Say that again.
Shout out to Kev in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, Kev, what up? What up, Brown? Yeah. So just having worked with him so long, but this being the first time we had a chance to really lock in for a whole project. I'm super excited about that. Hennessey Straight is out now on all DSPs, and the album is coming very soon, like in the June soon. I don't know if I could say that, but yeah, it's we working.
All right, that's what we want to hear. Takeover.
So a lot of artists, they don't like to be compared to other artists, right? But from your perspective, what other like mainstream artists do you resonate with the most?
That's a good question. I'd be lying if I told you I was particularly locked in. Like, here's the thing for me, right? I don't really listen. It's gonna sound crazy. I don't really listen to the style of music I make a lot. You know what I mean? I'm so immersed in that world that when I listen to music for pleasure, I want to tap into something else. That's like when we were talking about that other situation earlier, and I said the song that I said, right? People wouldn't expect that answer from me, but if I'm a video game tester and that's my day job, I'm not gonna come to the crib and hop on the PS5. You know what I'm saying? Like I want a break from that. I don't know. I guess I would have to say maybe like a J. Cole, just in terms of content, and relatability. Just kind of like a everyday man's perspective. Not a lot of flash and bells and whistles. Yeah.
Okay. My perspective, I said J. Cole and a little bit of Lupe. So,
and what, in terms of like comparison, or just who you in particular resonate with?
Just no, for you, and as far as lyrics and your style. So,
oh yeah, I'll take that. I love to be mentioned amongst like, yeah, that's always a compliment.
MCs for sure.
For sure.
Can we know when you're rolling a project out, like the images, like the marketing, all that stuff ties together? this being, you know, Hennessey Straight being, you know, the first single off the forthcoming album, what's the story behind like the cover art for the single? Like, you know, is it telling a story? Is there a deeper significance?
Let me break this down for you. So you're gonna see the cover for the album. It's a picture of me on Easter Sunday in 1991. I'm in that suit. I got that fresh high top fade with the two parts that I begged my mom to let me get, because she never let me, because I didn't keep my hairbrush. She said, you can get the cuts, you gotta keep the hairbrush. And to me, it just like, it's cold, you know, old school slang, but it's just a hard ass picture. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the feeling of the album for me. Like, this shit is cold. So with the cover art for the single, that's my pops, you know. And those of you who have had family members that have gone on that little vacation, y'all understand what that pose is about, you know what I mean? Yeah, and it's just hard ass picture. Pops, you know, Kango Kenny, the original, you know what I'm saying? So not a real deep meaning, man. It's just, I just want that energy. I mean, that those images to convey a certain energy to match with the music that we bring in.
I'm with
Shout out to my pops, man.
That's dope. Before you go, E, put up James's question real quick. Let's get a question from the crowd. Ken, where do you need to go to find the words during your creative process?
You know what, man? It's not something I can force. It just got to come to me. You know, sometimes there are times for me where everything just kind of flows naturally, and then the majority of the time, my writing process is very slow. Very slow. Like, it can take months for me to, you know, just to pen one record sometimes. Just trying to get it right. But I can't force the inspiration. It just gotta, you know, it just gotta be right. I've learned to trust the process, though. You know what I mean?
6 times. Okay. Oh, so yeah, the visualizer is out for Hennessey Straight?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Visualizer is out. And we're going to be shooting the video actually this weekend. So be on the lookout for the official video coming soon as well. You know what I mean?
I mean, if I can just get my car driving by in the background, I can say I was in the video.
Listen, man, pull up. I'll shoot you the addy when we go off here.
All right, let me know. E, go ahead, E. My bad, bro.
It's about to happen again, CB.
No,
Not 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row, bro. So you had mentioned, you know, kind of underground in the sense of like the style, or not hitting that astronomical, like I want to you know, a track that's going to just kind of just blow up and kind of send me to the stratosphere. Have you looked at any other underground artists and seeing what their blueprint is? The reason why I asked that, because I feel like a lot of times, and if anybody in here is a true hip hop head and they understand the name that I'm about to say and how he's just killed the underground game, Tech Nine went through that process of saying, I don't want to be mainstream. I want to have everything in-house, because I did that, got my own crew, got my own kind of play. Have you looked into his kind of way of cultivating the underground to where it makes you do what you want to do, you know, outside of creative process, but like really can like catapult you into a different lane, even with you kind of having, you know, like your lows where it's like, I ain't been around for a minute, you know what I mean? But I still kind of have that ability. I think the underground scene is not as first of all, they're not cutthroat like the industry, right? They gonna rock with you if they ain't heard from you like 10 years, right? Like Tech Nine can put out a damn near album every year, and everybody knows, and it shows it's still the same fans. So have you seen like that's like the almost like the blueprint in being in that underground kind of vibe where you can see how that will work for you?
I mean, I haven't really, you know, paid attention to like kind of the blueprint that he laid, but I do think there is something to be said to your point about just the loyalty of the fan base when you're on this level. And that has been the saving grace for artists like myself. It really has been. I'm so appreciative of the people that's still locked in with me. Every year that I didn't put out music, was plenty of people saying, "Yo, what's up with a new project? Yo, when you dropping back out?" And that's that is all the motivation I ever need to keep pushing at whatever level I landed at. Just to know that there were people out there genuinely checking for me, like, and maybe that's part of why I've been comfortable at that level, because that's all I ever really wanted was to connect with the listeners and connect with my audience. So
Absolutely. So we'll make this the last round of questions so we can go into a couple other things so we won't go too far into overtime. So the music industry's changed, bro, since the last album you put out, project you put out. Now we can drop records overnight. Don't need much permission, don't need a lot of things. Is there anything exciting about the rollout of this project and the way that the music industry works these days?
Not so much as it pertains to how the industry goes. For me, it's just like I said earlier, it's just exciting for me to be outside again, man. It's exciting to put out content and be seen and get that real time. Well, that's the one thing. Getting that real time feedback is kind of incredible now. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it.
Okay, take over.
Okay, 15 plus years in the game, and you still got a lot of longevity ahead of you. But what do you foresee for the future when it's all said and done? What type of legacy? What do you want to be known for? Like Kenn Starr, what do you want to, people to say?
I want people to say that he had bars. He was honest. He was transparent. And he had an amazing ear for production.
Yeah.
Like I always, give myself that credit because I don't feel like I've always been the best at making songs. But I feel like I got a good ear for the beats. Like just a good, somebody that played his position and made the most of it.
Right. Real quick before you go, CB, They say the opportunities that you miss is the ones you don't ask. We got Kev Brown in the audience. Now, Kev, I would love to do a follow-up, and you tell me the creative process you went through to creating this album with Kenn. If you want to come on, we can schedule some time. Let's make that happen. This will be a double rollout for the project. I would love to hear your creative process, how I was working with Kenn after all these years. All right, CB, my bad.
No, all good. Always working, bro. Always working. Yeah, last round of questions. So I gotta bring this one. Can you talk about wanting to be remembered for the bars? And we know that that's what we can always expect from one of your tracks. Not to pick out like a favorite song or anything like that, as like that. We know that can be like picking between kids or whatever. But do you have a favorite bar of yours, or just maybe not a favorite, but one that you're especially proud of, that you're like, yo, if people only listen to maybe one song, and that might be something that you want them to hear?
Not my. Here's the thing about the style of rapping I've done over the years. The content doesn't always age well, right? But I think one of the more popular lines was from a song I had called Back at It Again, back on Star Status, way back in 2006, where I said a couple of back-to-back things about Oprah. It hit for people, and when I perform it, like it's one of those. I wouldn't at all rank it amongst like my top bars, but as far as like the ones that people got a kick out of, I'm not gonna recite those bars now, but like I said, everything doesn't age well. But Oprah's not even that big anymore. Crazy. I was a kid, man. I was a kid.
That's amazing.
All right, so kind of on par with what my brother CB was talking about, but actually this question is a little bit more. It's gonna make you think, right? And I think you already have it in mind. So there's a kid that's gonna listen to hip hop for the first time. What song out of your catalog do you want him to or what are you introducing to him?
Out of my catalog?
Your catalog. What
Ooh.
first time hearing hip hop? What is that song that you were saying? Press play with the headphones on.
That's a really good question. Well, good for me. I only have about 30 or 40 songs to pick from to narrow it down. I would go with a song called Farewell off my last album, Square One. Also produced by Kev Brown. Because I feel like it checks a couple of boxes off, right? Because I feel like the everything people know me for is there, the bars, the wordplay, the schemes and all of that. But it was one of my most honest and vulnerable records, talking about some things I had been through in my personal life and my struggles with, religion and faith. And just showing that you can execute these type of concepts on a high level. I feel like it's a good marriage of content and skill, which has become increasingly important for me as I evolve as an artist. Because I think one of my biggest criticisms about my first album is that I hadn't lived a lot of life. So I tried to do records, concept records, but they kind of fell flat in retrospect because I didn't have the real life experience. And now that I'm older and I've been through certain things, that's what I lean on the most with my records now is just my real life experiences. So I would choose that record. Just to show that you can talk about something real without, sacrificing the technical proficiency of your craft.
Okay. Dope. All right. Y'all, give it up for Kenn Starr. That's the Black Business Series interview portion. We're not done with Kenn just yet. All right, Kenn, I gave you some homework. I hope you saw it in the comments.
Oh, damn. Yep, I got it. We got it. Let's go. Let's do it.
Top three. We ask all of my guests, because we love the answers we hear. We ask all of our guests their top three movies of all time and top three albums. Now, 5 would be too easy. We wanted you to think with 3. So let's start with your movies. Top 3 movies of all time.
Movies. All right. First one, easy. Friday. What we talking about?
Okay.
Just off of sheer replay value. Like if someone put a gun to my head and say, I'm gonna put a movie on, and you got to say every line word for word, or I'm pulling the trigger, throw Friday on, and I'll see you tomorrow because we live it. You understand?
Okay.
Just a classic. The second one, The Matrix, the first Matrix.
Okay.
At the time, if you could remember what that was like when it first came out, we just hadn't seen anything like that. Just with the technology, the concept, it was just amazing to me. Like, and it always stuck out to me as like, personally, I'd never experienced something that original that I enjoyed on that level. So I would say The Matrix. And if I can get in my nerd bag for a minute, Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
And it's not because that movie is that good, but I'm a comic book nerd. I came out reading comic books, and it's so amazing to see these characters that you read as a child come to the big screen. But we've seen movies like sequels and shared universes in cinema, right? But we've never seen 22 movies all leading up to one moment. And for the fans, like if you one of the Marvel fans, you know what that was like. That experience was like in the theater, watching that last hour with that last scene, that last battle scene. Like like it's something that I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life. Like it's just a type of experience that you're not gonna get from every type of movie. So yeah, shout out to the Marvel nerds. Avengers Endgame.
All right, let's hit these albums up. Top 3 albums.
Top 3 albums. My top 3 albums.
Yep.
Not the greatest 3 albums of all time, but my personal top 3. I'm going with A Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I owe everything to that album. That album is the reason why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I bought Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders, and Souls of Mischief 93 to Infinity the same day back in 93, and it changed everything for me. So Midnight Marauders, I'm going to say Slum Village, Fantastic Volume 2. I ain't got to explain that. If you know, then you know what that's about. Like, it's just as a body of work, getting familiar with Jay Dilla right before it came out, and then hearing this body of work, yeah, another game-changing moment for my own trajectory as an artist. And what was the third? I did my homework. Tribe, Slum, and I'm drawing a blank on the third, so I'm gonna say Star Status.
There you go. All right. Okay. So Ken, this is the part where the show kind of goes downhill, and you'll understand why. All right, bro. Go ahead, break it down.
It's not gonna be too bad, I promise you. But Ken, like I said, appreciate you being on. This is part of the segment, and I'll keep it short because we got time limits out here. I say the stuff that people want to say, probably don't want to say it out loud, or just too scared to say it. Kind of like lemon pepper wings are trash. It's an honest fact, and everybody who says that they like it, they lying like shit. It's not a consistent flavor. You get too much lemon or too much pepper. Either way, it don't boast well. But anyway, so for this, is it just E? We do music reviews all the time, and bro hit me up and said, "Yo, we got the bro Ken coming on. He does music, and it got me into this bag where I kind of throughout process of like I'll listen to like old soundtracks, right? Just because soundtracks ain't what they used to be. Soundtracks used to actually almost make the movie before we even saw the movie, just because we knew the songs on them. So with that being said, there's a soundtrack that I know we have not talked about, and the thin line between love and hate soundtrack does not get any fanfare like a Boomerang or a Poetic Justice or any other kind of our cultured movies out there. And when you look at the lineup or even remember the scoring of that movie, of how, yes, it was out on the West Coast, but all the songs that led up to like that movie, pinned like just all around wise, I think this is actually a top 5 soundtrack movie out of our movies that we like, and it's a sleeper because if you listen to and not only that, but the producers that were on this, let's say real quick, you had Beware of My Crew, you had the LBC crew, which everybody remembers that scene in the club. You got the original Thin Line, but then you had the Thin Line where H-Town did it. You know what I'm saying? You had Knocks Me Off My Feet, like Tevin Campbell, like the whole entire list. Like if you just run Roger Troutman, they had the Loonies, they had R. Okay, we know some people how you feel about R. Kelly, but anyway, You know what I'm saying? Adina Howard. And then you look at the producers on here and you realize, damn, they like that whole album in itself, production wise, crazy. And though Martin was the key role in that, as far as like the artist that everybody's seen, I just don't see how nobody can deny that A Thin Line Between Love and Hate is actually probably one of the best soundtracks that we've had in a movie, and that we don't talk about it enough.
Okay. All right, there you go. I mean, I need to go listen to the soundtrack. I mean,
I was about to say I'm gonna have to revisit it after that spill. I'm gonna have to give it another run. Yeah, for sure. Question though, was Bobby Brown on the soundtrack? That's what I need to know.
That's a good question.
So Bobby was not on the soundtrack, but I think the reason why he wasn't, and not that he wasn't, that he needed to be on the soundtrack, I think his character, because if you remember, that was really like his first really role where it wasn't just like one or two lines. Like he actually played like the super co-host on that, where that kind of, we could have saw like Bobby probably play some more parts after being, Darnell's best friend, because we all got a best friend like Bobby was on there. I won't say no names, Claire. So, but at the end of the day, you gotta, it was, I think the soundtrack in itself is because every other one, the person was of a musical standpoint, right? Like Boomerang, like Eddie did music, you know what I'm saying? So there was also some composition from that. Poetic Justice, Janet and Pac, you know what I mean? So there's a musical element from the artist that translated to the soundtrack, where this one was just straight up just music, and it met the area of where they were actually filming it at. So that's why I say I think it's just a sleeper. And if you go back and listen to it and see who's on there, just hands down, it's a sleeper for real. That's the Is It Just E?
I'm gonna tell you what's not a sleeper, and that is DC Shy Pie. WRSC 10, save 10%. Black owned, again, Black Business Series. Talking about Chicago deep dish pizza here out of the DMV. Steak and cheese, salmon pesto, sausage pepperoni. If you don't like deep dish, they got the flats. They got the Georgetown, which is a gyro. They got the big chair. Ken, you know what the big chair is. It's fried chicken and mamo sauce pizza. And they got the drop the bomb bread pudding. Black owned business status. Shout out to Grant. Shout out to Margaret. Save 10% this weekend. WRSC 10, the DC Shy Pie. And then now, where are we at? Here. All right, CB, what we got for that cop or chop this week?
Yeah. So Ama Manier is coming out with another one. And part of the question for the cop or chop this week has kind of to do with, is anyone getting, or is anyone already just tired of Ama collabs? Because I have a bunch, I'll be honest. I love a lot of the Jordan stuff that they have done. But it is a very similar color palette. And, it's something that these fives that are coming out are $225. That's the retail price. So have no idea whether these are expected to resell or not. Some of the Amas recently, they've been making plenty of pairs. So for y'all, is this a cop or is it a chop? I think for, $225, it's not a must cop, but I do love the 5 and I'd like the colorway. So,
why did it switch on me? All right. Well, I guess I'll go. I'm going to, I will cop these. Maybe not right away, but these are, I will put them in the collection.
I would say a cop. I think the resale, might do. It might be all right.
All right.
I'm not a big sneaker guy, but I like the colorway. You know what I mean? Cop 'em if I got it.
fucking fives. Here we go again. God damn it. I swear this is exactly what I said last year going into this year. They are killing fives, bro. After they did the all black, and then they did the blue pair, right, bro? Wasn't it the sale with the blue the same time they dropped the black? Why not? Yo, just go to the next scene, bro. I'm tired of this shit.
All right. Let's get into some shoe and tell. I may go first because I ain't got nothing special to show. So look, Adidas box. Boom. I'm just gonna show these because I wore these the other day and I just forgot how comfortable these were. The Addy Foam Qs.
Hey.
Adidas went on a good run with just comfortable shoes, and these are one of them with the Addy Plus soles. Right, that's what the soles was. Yeah, but it was dope. I wore these the other day. Forgot I had them. Super comfortable shoe. Boom. Straight to the point. E.
I'm gonna go 2 for 2 because I know CB's gonna shit on us. Cop the win on the sneaker app.
Hey.
You see what it is, you know what it is.
Yeah, that's fire.
Yep. And then of course we just got a little box, nothing major. You know, you see what the box is. And again, until we make it very clear that, you know, as far as the ones are concerned, it is what it is. You see, I didn't even lace them up yet, but we know what we're gonna do with these little Union LA ones, you know.
All right, so my personal sneaker style, it varies from classic to colorful in your face to designer, modern. That's probably my favorite. But tonight I'm showcasing something a little bit more from the classic designer vault. And these are the women Nike Dunk Low Twists.
Okay.
They can retail anywhere from $81 to $125. I paid $59.99.
All right.
So
keep it 100.
Yep, you can rock these all year round. Cardo, be quiet.
CB.
Nothing super crazy. Regular Nike box. Can't really see shit with the green screen. That's cool. I got another pair of Air Max TL 2.5s. I showed I got the Comme des Garçons pair. One of them a few weeks ago. I showed those off. But these joints are super comfortable, man. And they give me, because of like the full length Air unit, it's like, you know, Griffey's back in the day. So yeah. Cop these joints off of Chic because every time these drop on the Nike app, they sell out and I don't get them.
Yep. All right. Ken, did you bring anything for shoe and tell? It doesn't have to be sneakers. It could be anything.
We should have talked about this first. I should have went first because I don't have anything comparable. And I've always been that dude that I find one shoe that I like and just get it in every colorway I can find and call it a day.
Yeah.
So all I got foams.
There you
I
go.
mean,
Hey,
keep it classic. I mean,
ain't nothing wrong with that. That's phone.
can't go wrong with it. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
I don't even know what they call no colorway, but
now look, shout out to Ken. As we get ready to wrap up, where can you find us? Look, Gen X TV. Download another Black business. Download Gen X TV on Roku and Fire Stick. Shout out to Chauncey. Shout out to Coach Kim. Shout out to Ebony. Wonderful crew at Gen X TV. And you can find some of the backlog of We Are Something Else podcast, but you can also find a Gen X exclusive, which is the Smoker Spiel episode of Boomerang. We reviewed the movie Boomerang about a month ago. It was fun. It was the whole crew. Shout out to Sammy. Shout out to Takeover. Shout out to Jen, CBE, Rich, and myself. And then we have decided, I believe we decided on the next movie, and we'll be announcing that super soon because, yeah, Smoker Spill will be returning to Gen X TV live whatever night we pick. But yeah, we got that on deck. What else is on? Well, yeah, what else is on deck? Tomorrow, Kendall B Morning Show on Station Head, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. Funky Friday. Shout out to Kendall B, who was in the chat. And shout out to Kendall B, who also played his shameless plug, the new single from Sweets in the Soul Show, This Hoe Got Roaches. So if you haven't listened to that song yet, go on all streaming platforms, look up Sweets and the Soul Show. This hoe got roaches. It's a green cover, AI cover. You'll love it. Listen to it. Tell your friends about it. Like it. All that good stuff. Sweets and the Soul Show. That album is coming soon. And then after the Kindle B Morning Show tomorrow, 12:05-ish, is We Are Something Else presents The Abstract with me. And guess what I'm playing? I'm playing Hennessey straight tomorrow again, because I played it last week, and it makes sense to play it this week because that's what we titled the show. We got Ken here. I'm going to play it.
Yes, sir.
That's all I got. Anybody else got anything to do about here?
Nah, everybody have a good week. Stay safe. Drink your water.
Yeah, all that good stuff. But again, we appreciate Ken for being here.
Yo, thank you guys so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you, brother. It's like it's special when it's one of the day ones. You understand?
Look, I was about to say, I remember around 6th grade, Miss Kreischer's class. I think that's when the notebook and the pen started making its way.
You remember when Mr. Voros lost his temper and threw the chalk at old boy?
I remember. Look, bro, I remember all of it.
God damn it, Jared. But he's gonna lose his job.
Man, that was some classic times. And then I remember through high school, bro, like the freestyling was kicking up. I had gotten into producing around. Look, man, it's been too long. We definitely glad to chop it up. And look, I'm gonna drive the whip in the video. I'm out just in the background with that. I could just walk by. I ain't got shit in my face. I walk by like this. Whatever you need to do. All right, but whatever to do to support the album, bro. I'm glad that we got new music coming, bro.
Absolutely. Cold album coming soon. June 24th. Fuck it. I'm saying it. June 24th. Cold album. Hey. Kenn Starr, Kev Brown, Hennessey straight streaming now on all DSPs, wherever you get your music, man. Thank y'all again for having me. I appreciate y'all.
Stay tuned after the scenes, but I got one more thing to say.
Follow us on YouTube at WRSC Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe. Ain't coming, I ain't fishing in the past, but then jumping to the bag. Ain't coming, ain't.